my name is Michelle, and I'm going to play Christmas Day Secrets from Suzuki Book 1, and then we're going to talk about some preparatory exercises and different things that we can learn with this song. Okay, that was Christmas Day Secrets. So let's start with the preparatory right hand studies. The very, very top of this page, we have just 4 measures from the beginning of the song that you will want to master. The articulation. Have you ever heard that word, articulation? Articulation means how you play a note. And in this line, we have 3 different types of articulation. We have 8th notes with 8th note rests. We have legato notes, and we have staccato notes. And each of those are different from each other. So first, let's talk about the rests versus the staccatos. A staccato is a bouncy sound, and staccato is really light, it's really happy, it's very, very short. And in this song, we have some staccatos. Can you find where the staccatos are? Right there are 2 staccatos. And then at the very end, there are 2 staccatos. So we have staccatos with these quick little notes at the end of the phrases. But at the beginning, we want to make sure that the articulation is different when you have these first 2 C's. The first 2 C's are short little notes, but they're not marked with a staccato. They're marked with a rest, and we want to make sure that those are different, okay? So the difference is that you're going to play the full value of the note, and then you're going to lift off of it. Also, you're not going to strike the note with as much force, and you're not going to bounce out of it as much. So a staccato would be the little more weight, a little more accent, but these are totally unaccented. You're going to just gently, slowly and gently press into the key and then lift it up. So the first 2 notes are rest, rest, okay? So nice and gentle, nice and easy, nice and soft. That's the articulation that I think is appropriate for this song. So you have this happy little staccato at the end of the phrase. And then these rests at the beginning of the phrase, where it's a little bit more mellow at the beginning. And I think it's important to distinguish between the 2. I'll demonstrate if you don't distinguish between the 2, you'll just get lots of really sharp staccato sounds. That's what it could sound like. And I think that has just a little too bright of a sound. It's a little too percussive. I like to have the distinction between the 2. Okay? So that's what you can focus on here. Now there's one more type of articulation. With all of these 16th notes, these little runs, they have a nice long legato line over the top of them. So they are supposed to be smooth and connected. And we've done a lot of work with legato lines throughout book 1, so this should be very familiar to you. But you want to stay in the keys. You don't want to let go of one key until you've played the next one. So when you're really working on your legato, you almost want it to sound mushy. That's the practice way to do it. And then you kind of find something in between, but you're going to be making each of those notes like touching the note before it so that you don't have any airspace in between your notes. It's the complete opposite of staccato. So your notes are very, very smooth, very ooey gooey, very connected. So that's all legato. We can do little wrist circles to help with this. So the articulation, we have rest, rest. Well, say the rest during the rest. Sorry. So we have rest, rest, staccato, legato, staccato. Okay, so we have those different articulations, and that's going to take quite a bit of practice to have all those different ways of playing the phrase. Okay, so work on that independently, right hand all by itself, for a good week or two as you are beginning to learn this song. Just focus on getting those nice articulations mastered before you add in all the other pieces. Okay, so the next thing that we have to practice is really how to play this measure 9 through 12. We really want to make sure that we are moving the arm just like we did in Little Playmates, where like we're riding on a swing, okay? We're bringing the thumb with us. The thumb doesn't get stuck here on the D. You pick it up and kind of move it with your hand shape. Okay, so move up with your hand all the way to reach the B, and then come back down to that D. So those are all legato, really smooth and connected. So you want to really practice making those nice and smooth, nice and legato. And then we have to talk about this fingering. You can choose here if you want to do 2 next, or if you want to do 3 next. And that is totally up to you. I'll talk about the differences between them and reasons why you might choose one or why you might choose the other. So the first option with 2 is going to let your hand kind of be in a nice familiar place for longer. Right there, you're going to do 5, 2, 1, 2. If you choose that fingering, then you've got this really nice secure spot where you know where your hand is. And then from there, you move your thumb down, and then you move your 3rd finger to that D. So if you're doing that, it's going to feel really comfortable. It's a familiar C position. That's really comfortable. And then you just reach a little bit. The other choice is to do 5, 2, 1, 3. So right here, you're going to squeeze your hand together, get that 2nd finger out of the way, and put your 3rd finger on the D. And that just gets your 3rd finger on the D for all of those repeated notes. And honestly, I like the way this one feels better. I think because it moves you down before you need to be down. So you're already, when you get to here, then your thumb is free to move down. It just feels like you can reach a little bit further with your thumb. So you kind of start that momentum of going down the scale with your thumb like a little bit sooner with that one. You can do either one of those fingerings, but you need to choose one and stick with it. So pick a fingering and then do it the same every time. Maybe put a circle around the one that you want to pick or scratch out the one that you don't want, but be consistent with your fingering once you've chosen it. So these are the 2 preparatory right hand studies. You want to really work on these sections and make sure that they're beautiful, they're musical, the staccatos, the legatos, the rests, and the fingerings are all smooth and clear before you move on to learning the next part of it. So the next step in learning this song would be to practice the left hand all by itself. And you can do this by ear, you can do this by reading. It kind of depends on your age and your development as far as reading goes. Like some kids by this point will be kind of familiar with looking at the music. Some kids will be just listening to the song and figuring it out by ear. And either way is totally fine. But you want to learn this left hand separately. So let me play this for you. Just the left hand by itself so that you know what the left hand is supposed to sound like. Okay, that's what the left hand sounds like. The entire left hand is legato. It has some dynamics in it that you'll want to observe, like when you get to these high parts in the melody, your left hand's going to support that by getting a little bit louder, so you can go ahead and do some of those dynamics. And this is a really, really important thumb skill that we've talked about before with Go Tell Aunt Rhody. You want your thumb to be quieter than the rest of the notes you're playing. The thumb is heavy, the thumb is farther down in the hand. The thumb is really easy to thunk and make it really loud. So you really have to actively focus on making your thumb quieter. Just really, really soft, really, really light thumbs. Put your weight a little bit more into the left side of your left hand so that you're leaning into the fingers that are playing the beat notes that are on the beat, and your thumbs are just really, really light, lifting out of the keys off the beat. That's what you want it to sound like. To contrast, what you don't want it to sound like is loud thumb. Difference. It really changes it from a song that sounds like it's being played by a beginning student to a song that's being played by a musician. So keeping your thumbs quiet is something you can focus on when you're learning the left hand by itself. Nice and legato, quiet thumbs. There are a couple of places where you have to make some fingering choices, and I need you to do that immediately. First time you play through it, try all the different fingerings and choose which one you want, circle it, and keep with it, okay? So we have there's just one kind of chunk right here where you need to decide what you're gonna do. So I will show you, starting in measure 13, just so you know what the section is that we're playing. It's that part. And the fingering that you need to choose between, I really think it begins when you're trying to figure out what you want it to feel like. It really begins in measure 15 with the second finger on B. So start there and then try both of these fingerings. You can do 2, 3, 4, and then switch your thumb to A. So you're really going to squeeze your hand together, squeeze your thumb in there, and then shift your rest of your hand over. So we're actually doing like a scale with 4 notes and then a scale with 4 notes. That's what that fingering is. So if you like that, you can do that. The thing about this one is that you you land on a 4 and then you have to squeeze your thumb in to get the 3rd and shift over to 3. So just be aware of that. That's your first choice. The next choice is you can start with your 2 on B and go to 1 right here. So kind of like you're descending in a scale. 2, 3, 1. And then from there, you let your hand kind of come back over, do your 2, and then your 1, and then your 2. So that's a lot of 2. We have 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1. Okay, so that's the second option for your fingering. 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1. That one has a lot of sort of rolling the hand over itself. You can pick that if you like it. That's not the one I like. And I actually wrote in a 3rd fingering here, something that feels more natural to me. So now you have 3 choices. Starting with 2, 3, 4, 3, and then put your thumb on G. 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1. So your switch is in the middle of the measure there. And then 1, 2, 3. So those are 3 different choices. Try them all when you're first learning the left hand all by itself, and then pick one and stick with it. Be sure that you always play the same fingering every time after you've decided. Okay? So those are the things you need to think about when you're learning the left hand. And then you put your hands together. As you put your hands together, go so slowly. Just do it a couple of measures at a time, maybe 2 measures at a time. And as you put these measures together, remember all those things you were working on? The rests and the staccatos and the legatos and the quiet thumbs? It was a lot of things you worked on, right? Just work on that first section until you can do all of those things in those 2 measures. Whew. Can you think about all of that? Just keep practicing it until it becomes a little more natural. Just keep going with that, just over and over again. Just do that first 2 measures until you can have nice crisp staccatos at the end. You can have nice calm 8th notes with 8th note rests, and then you can have your quiet thumbs in your left hand. All of those things, you don't want to lose those when you put your hands together. So you need to put your hands together very slowly so you can think about all the things and like gather them all in, put them all together very easily and slowly, okay? Okay, so if you play that and you notice, are my thumbs loud? Then you need to do it again. You need to fix it. So then you're focusing on your quiet thumbs. Oh, did you forget about the rests and the staccatos? So you need to be trying to do all of these things. That's why we take it slow, so we can put all of the concepts together. Okay, once you've mastered that, you can do your rests, your quiet thumbs, legato, and staccato. Then go on and learn maybe just one more measure. Or maybe 2 measures. And see if in those 2 measures you can really play legato and staccato with your right hand. You can really keep your thumbs quiet with your left hand. See if you can grow like the crescendo that we're supposed to have. Okay, so wow, that's a lot when you put your hands together to really be thinking about your quiet thumbs, to be thinking about your legato, to be thinking about your staccato. And so that's why we take it really, really slow. Maybe on the first day you just do the first 2 measures. Maybe on the second day you do the second 2 measures. Take it slow. Do it right. Do it thoughtfully. And then if you take your time as you put all these things together and you really focus and you really try, then it's going to stick, it's going to stay, and you'll be doing it right every time after that. Sometimes we get in a hurry and we want to learn something so quickly. We just want to do it. We just want to play it. And so we play it kind of sloppy. And that's fun. And you know what? I do that sometimes. But here's the problem. When you play it kind of sloppy the first time you play it through, that's where you're setting your brain, like you're setting your memory in that sloppy way. The very first time you play through a song with your hands together is so important because that's where you're really kind of establishing what this music is. And you want it to be accurate, and you want it to be musical, and you want it to be thoughtful, and you want it to be correct. You want to have the correct fingerings, you want to have the correct articulations, and you want to have the correct notes. All of that, if you do it right on the first time, then the second time it will be right. The third time it will be right. The 100th time it will be right if you establish it perfectly the first time you play it through. If you aren't patient the first time you play it through, you can create bad habits you have to fix. And then it's a lot more work to learn it because you have to go in and correct things. So that's why I'm telling you, go really, really slow when you're learning a song. You want to do hands separately. You want to focus on all of these little things when you have less to think about. And then as you slowly put them together, hands together, do it carefully enough that it's going to be accurate. That all of the things that you need to think about, you can think about because you're going slow, because you're preparing. And you can always stop and prepare and then go a little more and then stop, prepare, go. So be sure your first time playing this through with hands together, you just do it a little bit at a time. You do it right, and you do it beautifully and musically with all of the intention to do all of the things. And don't do it in an overwhelming way. That's why we just do 2 measures at a time, 1 measure at a time. You want to be successful in little tiny pieces so that it will always be right. Okay? All right. What else do we have to learn? So once you've figured out how to put all your hands together, which may take a few weeks, especially if you're doing it like I asked you, nice and slow. After you get your hands together and you are ready to just play this whole song, the last thing that you want to refine as you're putting, line 1 with line 2 and line 3 and you're playing the whole song, you really want to pay attention to what the volume is. So you want to do dynamic work at the end. Work on your dynamics. Dynamics means loud and quiet. So the beginning we have medium quiet and then we have even quieter. So we're playing this first line with a nice melodic tone. It's not very loud, but the second time it's even softer than that. So we start out mezzo piano. Then it's an echo. It's softer. It's piano. Oh, that is so soft. It's delicate. It's beautiful. And then this is mezzo forte, the loudest we get in the song. So the third line is the loudest part. It's also some of the highest notes you will play. Then we echo it. So you'll notice as you get to know this song that the last 2 lines, measures 17 through 24, are exactly the same as the beginning. except for the end where we have one thing that's different. So we do this. This is very familiar. And then quiet. At the very end of this song, we have a marking. It says R-I-T. R-I-T means ritardando, which means slowing down or hesitating. So we're slowing it down gradually. We start the ritardando just at the same speed as everything else, but by the end, it's going to be quite a bit slower. So we really stretch out those last parts. And I wrote in my book, we sing, "Here's the end." And we really feel that finish. You want to finish it nicely. You slow down to the end, and the very, very last notes are different than the first part. So we play all of these together instead of the last time it's staccato, and this is broken apart in the first half of the song. So at the end, you're playing all of these together. It's really important that that last note is balanced. Should we make the G the loudest, this thumb note? Do we want to hear that G? No. Should we make the C the loudest? Do we want to make that nice and loud? Do we want the C to be the loudest note? No. What about the E? Can we make that the loudest note? Can we make that the one that we really, really hear? And then these two quieter? That's what we want. We want balance in this chord that leans towards the high note. We want that E to really ring out at the end. So your ear hears that E finishing the song. And then you lift your fingers off the keys. You place them in your lap and you listen to the silence. Take a breath. You might even close your eyes. Then the song is over. It's really important at the end of a song that you let it finish and you let the sound kind of settle and disappear. And you have to let everyone else who's listening to you do the same thing. So just sit there quietly, put your hands in your lap, and make sure that everyone hears the last note until it's completely gone. And then they hear the silence after it. That's how you create the magic at the end of a song. All right. So these are a few tips about how to learn Christmas Day secrets. Thanks for doing piano with me, and I hope I'll see you next time. Bye.